Good morning, good morning. We are live here in Results One. Just had, this is what it's about, guys. Being present and out and about in our community, letting people know what we do. FedEx driver saw the truck and was like, yo, that's Trooper Steve. You think I'm gonna let anybody else drive this truck? So we are here live this morning, here in beautiful Orlando, UCF area. And so last night I had the opportunity to host a really amazing event, and it is something that's really close to my heart because I was an enlisted member of the United States Air Force. And when you rewind anything prior to 2009, this was kind of just a real simple thing. And what do I mean by that? When you enlist, it's very administrative. Paperwork, parents sign, they're there, and then you book your date and you're gone. You know, you don't really have a very big swearing in ceremony that's solely focused on you, the individual who has chosen to do something great, to do something amazing, and to really be the less than 1% of United States citizens who serve their country in the armed forces, whether it's the United States Air Force like I did, the United States Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, or even now, the United States Space Force. And there is an organization that was created in 2009, and it's Our Community Salutes. It's a national foundation, and they put on large events specifically for families and enlist seniors, high school seniors that are enlisting in the United States military, and they recognize them for their sacrifice or the sacrifice they're getting ready to make. And so today, kind of a recap of last night, I'm going to welcome in Dr. Ken Hartman. He is the founder and the president of Our Community Salutes, and he's going to be jumping in the truck with me. I love doing this stuff. It is the coolest thing in the world, and we're going to have him jump in the truck now. So let's pick him up. Dr. Ken Hartman here. He is in town specifically for the event last night, and we're going to welcome him in. So let's have him hop in the truck this morning.
Hey!
How we doing, sir?
Couldn't be better.
Welcome on in. Welcome on in. This is Results One.
Wow.
Yes, wow.
This is quite the automobile.
So, first and foremost, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown. Anything that's on programming is here on the screen. This is going to be the one that's actively showing, and then I've got a whole bunch of other cameras that are hanging out. I'm testing out this new DSLR. We'll see how it goes, and I'll turn even the lights on for your staff that is taking plenty of pictures here. We could even wave hi to them. You guys got our good side, so that's the good thing.
Wait, hold on.
All right, there we go. We will. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are streaming on clickorlando.com, News 6 Plus, and of course, the News 6 app. So I have my amazing producer, Donovan. He's in my ear currently. And we're streaming. He's doing all the cool controls and stuff like that for us this morning. Dr. Hartman, I really appreciate your time today. I know you're a busy man.
Oh, I appreciate you being with us last night for our big event.
That was one of the coolest things I have probably ever been involved with.
That's very kind.
And I mean that from an oddly emotional standpoint, just because I never got to experience something like that. And to see that, I get choked up just thinking about it, to see that and to see families, friends, coworkers, fellow classmates show up only for these future enlistees, people who are going to serve our country, blew my mind.
Yeah.
I never got that. And I think that's really special that you guys are doing things like this.
I appreciate that. Again, I'm an old soldier, but I was an officer, and officers get the recognition whether you're going to ROTC or at the academies. These kids aren't. These kids typically didn't get that type of attention. Many of them were not necessarily AP scholars.
Right.
Some of them were. But their moms and dads were often made to feel like kind of second-class parents.
Right.
So even the D1 athletes, high school athletes, have a signing day. So this, in essence, is a signing day for the young men and women who have made the decision to sign a contract to our nation. And if we can't say thank you to them and bring the community together to celebrate that decision, we got bigger issues than we care to admit.
Amen to that. So, Dr. Hartman, tell me, I know you don't like putting this about you, but you're in my truck, so we're going to talk about you for just
Sure.
a second. When did you enlist originally? Or did you begin enlistment, or you went commission direct?
I was commissioned. I was
Okay.
ROTC, so I
So
did ROTC.
where'd that come from? Why?
So a lot of reasons. One of which was just pure, patriotism, being a kid, playing Army when you're a youngster. The other reason is that I'm the son of a Holocaust survivor, and it was a GI, a sailor, actually, that liberated my father and grandparents. And so from a time I was very, very young, I always felt like there was a need to give back, because if it wasn't for a GI, I wouldn't be sitting in this truck right now. So,
wow.
But fast forward.
So you took it personal.
Very much so when I joined. Yeah, I mean, certainly having $100 a month spending from the Army didn't hurt either. But it really was more about everybody's got to give back to their nation. It's whether that's helping young kids tutor in math or
Right.
serving your nation, whatever that is. And we've lost that in our country. We've really lost the idea of selfless service and putting your community, your country before yourself. So I discovered we were not doing anything for the kids like you who enlisted out of high school. When I joined the school board in 2009, we weren't even asking those kids to stand at graduation. So that's how.
Meanwhile, they're making a sacrifice that's almost
Absolutely.
bigger than going to college.
They're going to war in 2009, many
Right.
of them. So that's when I realized, okay, someone's got to do something about this. So I planned this dinner for all the kids and their families in our county with the veterans, as you saw last night. Little they know, 17 years later, we'd be in 70 different locations all over the country, and we've honored over 250,000 high school enlistees since 2009.
So it was merely a thought of, my guys aren't being included, I need to do something, that really got this kicked off.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of parents who were friends of mine, and I saw how they were being made to feel, because they weren't going to financial aid nights and they weren't going to AP
Right.
dinner nights, and how when people asked them, what is your son or daughter doing after high school, and they told them they were going into the Air Force, for example, they would often get people say, oh, what, Air Force, are you okay with that, and are you sure that's what they really want to do? And so I saw those moms and dads literally go underground, and I figured we have to have a night where we come out and we celebrate that decision to serve.
Man. So obviously it's grown
Yeah.
over the years since 2009. This was one of the largest events that I've had the opportunity to MC military-wise. What was your numbers when you started? What's one of the biggest that you've done so far?
So when we first started, again, I didn't know if anybody was even going to show up.
Okay.
And it turns out that we did. I think we had close to 300 people that first dinner in 2009.
That's a lot of people.
A lot. But we've had much larger. We had close to 400 people last night. We've had upwards of 10,000 people at a ceremony we did in northern Florida. Many
All
years
put
ago.
on by our community salutes.
Yes. In partnership with various organizations. Dirk Bentley actually sang at that event way back when. So the average size is anywhere between 450 to 500 people, but it's truly a grassroots initiative.
Explain that a little bit for people who may not understand what you mean by that.
So there's a lot of great people out there that understand it's important to honor and recognize these kids, no different than anybody going off to college.
Right.
And so by giving them a reason to come together and plan, and we provide all the resources to back end and online and so forth, it brings the community together around a topic that most of them didn't even think was necessary. They assumed their school was doing that. And in most cases, there are schools that do that, but in a lot of cases, that's not what they do, because they're very busy with everything else in the spring. So these kids kind of fall to the wayside. So again, we've had ceremonies where we had 10,000 people. Last night, close to 400 people, and then everything in between. Tomorrow night we'll be in Tampa, where the governor will be speaking at that event. So it's really great to get the governor being an old sailor. It really connects all those dots together for the community.
All that JAG talk last night you and I had got me thinking about the governor, because I was like, It'd be nice to be like, hey, what do you think about this kind of thing? So when you have these events, what's it take for this organization to make this happen? Because you guys are a foundation. I saw the amount of sponsors that get involved
Correct.
to support, because they're not just launching money at this. They
That's
are.
right.
You don't just launch money at a veteran type thing. Obviously,
Exactly.
you've got to want to do it,
Exactly.
and you have to understand what's happening.
Right.
What is the community involvement? How big is this?
So people donate $5, $10, $5,000, everything in between, individual donors. But and we need those, because
course.
every one of our events is funded by people in the community. We do not ask for, we do not want federal monies. In my belief,
Okay.
it's not the federal government's job to thank these kids. It's the communities. It's a business. It's Lockheed's. It's USAA, Navy Federal, all of whom, Comcast, all of whom have been extremely generous to us, going back to the very first years of OCS, because they want to say thank you. Many of these kids, they're looking to hire eventually.
Right.
And people don't realize 75% of the young people that enlist in the military are only going to serve for 4 years.
I was one of them.
You're one of them. And unfortunately, today, they represent the highest number of unemployed vets, because that goes by so fast that they haven't prepped. And so
Do you see that, I don't mean to interrupt you, but do you see that the civilian side underestimates what 4 years does to a civilian in the military?
Absolutely. And what happens is, all of the other veterans organizations that are out there, and they do wonderful jobs like Hire Our Heroes and others, they're typically addressing a veteran or a person who's got 10 or more years in the military. So they've developed a family, they've got married, they have kids.
Right.
These kids, as you saw last night and yourself, they're getting out, and there's nobody there for
They
you.
look like babies.
They're
to
like
me.
babies. There's like nobody there. So what we're trying to do with OCS Connect, which is our new portal for the parents of new enlistees, is to provide them with the information and resources to empower them on what they should be doing with their son or daughter or grandson during those 4 years, so
I
they
love
know
this.
what that is.
So it's more than just, we're going to put on an event, hire some speakers to come on by and send you off on a nice little evening. It's almost full circle with
It
you
is.
guys. You're providing resources. You're giving them guidance as young
Right.
adults entering a very, let's be real, a very real world.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So it started as just recognition, because that's what I knew needed to be done. But then we did a survey of the parents. We asked them, what do you wish you would have known prior to their son or daughter enlisting in the military that we could be helpful? And we heard how to help my son or daughter with their first paycheck, how to help my son or daughter with planning for college,
Right.
making that transition. So that's when we went out and we started OCS Connect on our website to try and build up those learning modules. It's the only place that you can go on the internet that's targeted directly towards this population. And and to put it in perspective, we're talking about 150,000 kids. That's it, a year. So, and
When
the
you say
military-
that's it, most people will think, that's a lot.
yeah, well, you figure 8.5 million kids graduate from high school every year.
I knew you had that number ready.
And the military is having a hard time getting 150,000 of them.
Right.
And so that's also
Do
part
you
of the
guys
problem.
provide, outside of the ceremony, if there were a high school senior genuinely interested in serving and didn't want to go directly to a recruiter, are you guys that available resource as well, or no?
No, so we don't actually get into quote recruiting.
Okay.
More of our benefit to recruiting commands is on the retention side. So in order to come to that event last night, you'd have already had signed your contract.
Okay.
But military experiences anywhere between 5 to, in some cases, as high as 20% future soldier loss. So kids who
Wow.
signed the contract, but the last minute decided, I'm going to go to college, or I'm going to work in my dad's hardware store, and they drop out. They see all sorts of scary commercials on TV,
Yeah.
and they figured out this isn't for me right now. So what happens to the kids who come to our ceremonies is nearly 100% of them actually get on the bus and report, which makes sense. You saw it last night when you surround them with people like
Yep.
yourself. Their moms and dads now for the first time get it. You saw people jumping up and singing this service song. They'd
Yeah.
never done that before in their life. But when you gave them the opportunity to do that, it's magical. It's magical.
It created some pride that
It
I
is.
don't even think they understand that they have for the service that they're getting ready to sign up for, or
College-
that they have signed up for.
Absolutely. And colleges have learned that a long time ago, that just because you accept a student doesn't mean that they're going to show up at the dormitory come the fall time. You have to do things during the summer to welcome in new students, to engage their parents, and all the good stuff. So colleges have known that for years. The military kind of thinks that, well, all right, we signed him up, he's going to show up, and in fact, today that doesn't always happen.
Right.
And again, the other thing today that's different than when you and I went in is that these kids are getting anywhere between a $10,000 to $100,000 signing bonus.
You're joking.
No, I met one young lady last night.
I need to call that Coast Guard recruiter that I made friends with last night and be like, hey!
So I met this one lady a boy last night who got a $60,000 Air Force, actually $60,000 bonus check, and I said, so what are you going to do with that? And he kind of smiled, and his mom jumped in and said, well, a third of it's going in the bank, and he's going to invest it, and what he does with the rest of it's up to him. But that's good parental advice. A lot of these moms and dads could have no idea what advice to give, which is part of why we did.
And as a senior in high school, all of a sudden you're going to a big boy or big girl job, and they're stuffing your bank account with $60,000 to $100,000.
Yep.
I tell you right now, if that was me in 2005, I wouldn't know what to do with that. And School doesn't provide any type of financial adult management.
And they don't know what to do with it right now. They're no different. In fact, they oftentimes will, well, quite frankly, piss it away very quickly.
Right.
They'll buy the Harley they want.
Yep.
That's
why I made that comment last night about, listen, y'all are going to get to your base. Do not buy the car that they try to sell you on the base because instant approval. You will pay for that car for 20 years. I remember the Dodge Nitro first came out. It looked cool. I was in Korea, and some guy, I remember it was like a master sergeant walked by, and he goes, "Airman, don't do it." And I heard that, and I go, "Okay," and I didn't do it.
Good for you. And the other thing is the rent to own. So it's the furniture, it's the TV, it's all that stuff that now they've got this money sitting in their bank account, and there's no parental oversight over it. It's their money. You're 18 years old. Everything's being paid for. You're not paying for food.
Right.
You're not paying for
You get hungry, you just go to the mess hall.
So why not spend it? So that's also part of the challenge right now. So we want these young people who are going to only be in for 4 years to understand that the Army and the Navy and the Air Force are going to figure out what to get out of you. Your job is to figure out what you want to get out of them. But no one's going to tell you that.
Man, it sounds like my job now.
No one's going to tell you that. You're 18 years old. You think you're to be taken care of, and you will. They'll take care of you because they want to get out of you.
Right.
But the key
you still have to make the managerial decisions of being an adult.
Absolutely. Enjoy your new job. Enjoy the travel. Do what you're going to do. Live the good life. Make some great friends. But don't forget that whether you're a private or whether you're a 4-star general, you have one thing in common, and that is you're all getting out someday. And the time to prepare for that, quite frankly, is when you're going in. As hard as that may be to think about, but it's very necessary.
When you look back at your time, what would you say was the biggest highlight while you were serving? You're still serving, but in a sense of when you had your brass on, what was the best time of your career?
Well, I can tell you, no doubt about it. So when my dad came down to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and pinned on my bars, that was big. That was huge, and I was leaving right from there to meet my unit, which were already in the field. But that probably was by far the highlight. And I could tell in his eyes that here's a guy who came over here from Europe that probably shouldn't have been here, and they survived, and yet here his son is going into the military. So that was a big moment for him and a big moment for me as well.
It got me emotional thinking about my dad. So yeah, it is prideful, and it was amazing last night, especially listening to Command Sergeant Major Jones.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about a powerhouse. Her speech, I was getting ready to re-enlist right there. And she focused heavily on reality, I want to say, on how you may not agree with what's going on, but the support on the outside can really make or break somebody in the military, whether they're strong-willed or not, whether they're a chef or a finance or a combat troop. If you don't have that support from the civilian family, that affects you in ways that are not visible. And I think last night you guys drove that home to a point where I saw people's faces change. That they walked in there, I don't want to be here, I'm just here because my son or daughter's here. Oh,
I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody. Exactly.
And then within a couple of minutes, there was a vibe in that room that it's like, man, everyone here is ready. Everyone here is ready to support their person and be there no matter what. What has that journey been like, watching these individuals in this room change while you're in there?
It never gets tiring to watch it. It never gets boring. I've been to hundreds and hundreds of ceremonies all across the country. It's the same chemistry that happens when you bring veterans like yourself together with the young people and community leaders and the education, bring them all in the room. It's just a recipe that I can't even describe. And we know exactly when it's going to build up to that level.
Right.
And I've got my people there saying, okay, get your cameras ready. Here it comes. And you play that poem for that mom, the mom's poem, right?
That was beautiful.
She's such a beautiful person. So we try to take, it's a multimedia experience, unlike what some have done over the years. The military will take kids and walk them out on a baseball field. Well, that's all well and good.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. I kind of made that clear last night.
Yeah, exactly. If that's all you're going to do for the kids, okay, it's better than nothing. But what we try to do is to try to build that ethos, try to build that family so they know. It's why we have their service logo on their name tag. The reason we want that is we want the parents to see other kids and families whose kids are going in the same service as their son or daughter and have that conversation. Because they don't know anybody when they get there, but if they see that Marine Corps logo,
instant relation.
Hey, see, we have something in common. My daughter's going to Marine Corps year, and they start talking. And again,
it's the biggest diverse group of people you'll ever find in your life.
Yet, in some respects, there's so much alike because we're all coming together around this unknown.
Right.
And if you've served, you have some sort of sense of what your son or daughter is going to be going through. But if you've never served, it's a total wild experience. You have no idea even what to do for basic training graduation. That goes back to your point as well about, probably most people will tell you the first impactful event that they had in the military is that basic training graduation when they stood there at attention and there was a tap on your shoulder. Remember that?
Oh my gosh, yeah. And then you can finally relax for a second because your parents and family's there.
And it worked for you. But you also know that there's a lot of kids that were standing there in formation that no one tapped them on the shoulder.
Yes, I remember.
And that breaks my heart. And I've got videos of that. And so
my friend Ryan and Chris didn't have anybody show up. And they spent the weekend with me and my family.
Which is great, because it's one of the most significant accomplishments that an 18-year-old person can have done in their life, and then have nobody there to share it with. And many people tell us, well, I would have gone, but I couldn't afford the hotel. I would have gone, but I couldn't afford the airfare. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to raise an endowment so that parents who come to our ceremonies, if we can find a hotel like a Marriott or Holiday Inn that will give these parents one night free stay. They're probably going to stay 2 nights, maybe even 3. But give them one night, so that's one less thing because that start of their son or daughter's military career, starting at that on that right now, you can't measure it.
Man.
And that's part of what we, one of the goals in the years to come is to find those relationships with corporations. But like I said, we don't want federal money. We don't even take state money. It's not government. It's not the government's job to thank these kids.
And that's intentional on behalf of the foundation.
Correct. That's always been my case, always been our board's case, that it's the Chipotle's, it's the others that are out here, that it's their community, and they're all talking about they want to hire veterans. Well, if these young people don't feel like anybody cared about them when they lived here and they left, they're not coming back.
No.
So this is your chance to say, we really value, we know you're going to be gone for a couple years. The guardsmen and reserves, they're not going anywhere.
Right, they're here. They're living here, right in the backyard.
Absolutely. Here's my card. Please, Mom and Dad, put this up on your refrigerator because in about 12, 14 months, you're going to be looking for it. So that's kind of that notion. We try to get communities to not only reconnect to their nation's military, but at the same time provide that economic and career support that these young people need when they come back, so they're not living in their parents' basement after 4 years of military.
Yeah. So what is the future of OCS right now? What do you see? Because in my view, you guys are 10 times bigger than my original thought. When I heard about the foundation, I was like, okay, first, amazing. 2, you're addressing something that does not get addressed. You're the only organization I know that does this with the purpose of doing it, not the purpose of using it to promote something else.
Sell something to them.
Right. Exactly. You're not like... how often, I remember even as an FHP trooper, I would go to a training day and they'd be like, all right, pizza for lunch, but we got a life insurance group that's here and they want to talk to you guys. And it's like, You guys you didn't do any of that.
No, and in fact, even everybody has to register for the event. Our corporate sponsors know that they're not getting any information, so we don't share that information with them. Now, if kids come up to their table and they sign up for a credit card,
right,
that's up to them. We don't pressure them one way or the other, but we value people's privacy, and it has nothing to do with that. We'll never change. That's not what we're doing. But again, you asked about the future. The future is growing. We're in 22 states, including Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. My goal in 5 years is to have at least one ceremony in every state.
I think that's doable.
I think so too. We have to raise a couple $1 million for that to happen. But, people are listening to this broadcast. People are out there, veterans who want to include us in their will, whatever. It is truly a grassroots connection. We have community leaders that literally go around and pick up people's broken lawnmowers and vacuum cleaners, and their husbands fix them up, and then they sell them at a garage sale or a lawn sale to pay for the event. That's how grassroots it is. And I want to keep it that way because it has to stay within the community.
Well, because the vibe changes.
Yes.
Once you change how you're receiving your funds, I truly believe that the organization can then change.
I do.
And if you guys are 100% solely community funded, you feel that there. I felt that there last night. I will fight you if you ever pick an MC that's different than me.
We'll get ready
if
for
you
next
come
year.
here in Central Florida and use somebody else. If people want to get involved, and they want to help, how can they do that?
Real simple. Go to our website at ocsusa.org, ocsusa.org, where they can volunteer. The other thing they can do right now is we have a virtual thank you card to the class of 2024 on that website. So at the very least, go to ocsusa.org, sign the virtual thank you card, leave a message. Our goal is to get 250,000 Americans to sign up by the 4th of July. So they can easily go there, share their experience, and then we share that with the kids. Again, trying to bring our nation back together around military service.
Wow. Well, Dr. Hartman, I appreciate you, sir, more than
Absolutely.
I can explain. Last night was not only satisfying to do because I enjoy presenting, but you filled my heart last night. Today, this morning's been a little emotional for me, just thinking about my past. I had an amazing conversation with a World War II vet that was there last night.
Really?
We had 2 of them there when you asked them to stand, and was able to speak with him, and we had a moment, because I get to go on honor flight this Saturday as a guardian to DC, and speaking with him, and it was amazing, just the vibe, the history in the room, the professionalism, and I think the decisions that are being made by these seniors. I got to speak to a few of them, and I reiterated so hard that this decision that they're making, they will remember when they retire.
Absolutely.
No matter what they achieve. Like I feel at 37, I've achieved some crazy things, and still enlisting and recalling basic training. Even the 8 weeks, I could recall so many things from those 8 weeks. Ask me about the Highway Patrol Academy. I don't remember much.
Right.
Or the beginning process of even joining New 6. Not so much. But I can recall memories from those 8 weeks like they were happening right now.
And the day you signed your contract, you'd probably give me the date on that.
I could give you that date. That was August 22nd of 2005.
There you go. There are things you do not remember.
And I was in Kissimmee, Florida, at the Air Force recruiting office. And then go down to MEPS and Tampa and all that fun stuff. And for me, that's when it got a little real. Because you get there and you're by yourself, and you quickly realize, I made a decision that is bigger than myself.
Yeah.
And I have no control over it now, and I'm just here for the ride.
And it was a good ride.
It was the best ride of my life.
It put you, literally, no pun intended, it's driving you right now.
It is.
Which is great.
It is, 100%. So you guys here watching this over at clickorlando.com, New 6 Plus, look, I'm going to post all this stuff on Facebook and social media. They've already posted it. Give them a follow. They're already posted out the link and all that good stuff. But support this amazing organization. They're doing things that no one else in our community is doing. It's not about a PR stunt. It's not about a sporting event. It's about supporting members in our community that are leaving our community so that our community can function, right? In a sense. So we'll wrap it up here. And I wish you the absolute best luck in this organization.
Thank you so much. This is great. Last night you were spectacular. Memories, the impact will be long long remembered and everlasting. So thank you very much.
I hope so, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
You guys have a great day. Always remember, wear your seatbelts, please. You know, I got to throw some traffic in there if we're sitting here chatting. Give OCS a follow on Facebook. They got an amazing Instagram account, a great staff, and you guys have a safe